December 24th, Oak Park, 9 p.m. Kevin took a steaming container out of the microwave and put it on a placemat on the kitchen table. He'd set the table nicely, just like his mother would have. He sat down and said grace. Bless this highly nutritious, microwavable macaroni and cheese dinner and the people who sold it on sale. Amen. He was just about to start eating when a church bell chimed in the distance. Kevin spun around and looked at the kitchen clock. Was it 9 p.m. already? His stomach nodded and his appetite disappeared. Kevin jumped up and quickly cleared off the kitchen table. Then he grabbed the BB gun. He crouched behind the kitchen curtains and felt his heart pounding. "This is it," he whispered. "Don't get scared now." A moment later, the van pulled into the driveway, and Harry and Marv got out. Harry had the crowbar. In the distance, the church bell chimed again. "How do you want to go in?" Marv asked. "May as well knock to see if he'll open up," Harry said. He started toward the kitchen door. "Yeah," said Marv. "He's a kid. Kids are stupid. I know I was." "You still are," said Harry. "Maybe, but I was a lot worse," Marv said. Kevin peeked through the kitchen curtains. When he saw the crooks coming, he backed away and gripped the BB gun tightly. A second later, there was a knock on the kitchen door. "Merry Christmas, little fella," Harry called from outside. "We know you're in there, and all alone." "Yeah, come on," said Marv. "Open up. It's Santa and his elf." Kevin crawled along the kitchen floor and stuck the barrel of the BB gun out of Ralphie's doggy door. Meanwhile, Harry banged on the door again. "We ain't gonna hurt you," he said. "Yeah," said Marv. "We've got some nice presents for you." "And I've got a present for you," Kevin whispered, as he aimed the BB gun at Harry's knee and squeezed the trigger. Pop! Yew! Harry grabbed his knee and jumped away. Marv bent down and stuck his face in the doggy door to see what had happened. Pop, pop, pop! Kevin shot him in the forehead. Yeesh! Marv rolled away from the door, clutching his forehead. "The kid's armed!" "Split up," Harry said. "I'll go around the front. You go in the basement." He started limping away. Inside, Kevin ran toward the front door with the blowtorch. If everything went right, he wouldn't have to worry about the guy in the basement for a while. Marv's forehead throbbed. He snuck around to the cellar door and started down the concrete steps. Whoops! Bang! Thud! A moment later, Marv found himself lying at the bottom of the steps. They were solid ice. His back was killing him, but he got up, grabbed the crowbar, and cracked the basement door open. It was dark inside. Marv slowly felt his way along the wall for a light switch. Then he saw something hanging from the ceiling. Great! A light bulb with a chain. He grabbed the chain and pulled. Crunk! The chain bulb and socket came loose in his hand. Suddenly, Marv heard a loud metallic clatter. What the? He looked up and thunk! An iron fell down the laundry chute and hit him right in the face. Meanwhile, Harry scampered toward the front porch. This is going to be easy, he thought. Marv would go in the back, and he'd go in the front. There was no way the kid could stop them. Harry stepped onto the porch and immediately slipped and fell on his face. What the? The whole porch was solid ice. Wait a minute, Harry thought. He'd been on the same porch just 3 days ago. There was no ice then, and it hadn't rained since. The kid must have iced the porch. "Wait till I get my hands on you," Harry mumbled as he held onto a pillar for balance and slowly pulled himself up. The front doorknob was just a foot away. Inside, Kevin held the torch on the doorknob. It was starting to glow red. Outside, Harry grabbed the doorknob. Ah! The next thing he knew, he was flying backward. Thunk! He hit the porch hard again. His hand felt like it was on fire, and he pressed it against the ice. As his scorched hand cooled, leaving a 5-finger impression in the ice, Harry stared at the front door. What was going on? Inside, Kevin ran to the kitchen and placed the torch in the next booby trap. These guys hadn't seen anything yet. In the basement, Marv slowly regained consciousness. It was the kid, he thought. The kid had set up the iron. He'd probably iced the cellar steps too. Marv's head throbbed with pain. He slowly got up. He found the steps up into the house. In the dark, he didn't see the roofing tar. He took a step. His foot stuck. Now, what now? He looked down. Tar! Marv laughed. That dumb kid thought Tar was going to stop him. Just watch. Marv stepped out of his right boot. On the next step, he stepped out of his left boot. He left his socks on the next 2 steps. Big deal. That kid was going to learn it took more than tar to stop Marv Merchants. There was 1 step left. Marv stepped right on the nails Kevin had left for him. Marv grabbed his foot and lost his balance. He fell down the stairs, backwards. Clutching his burnt hand, Harry crawled across the icy porch to the front room and jimmied it open with the crowbar. He crawled into the house and stood up. "Okay, kid, this is where the tide turns," he yelled angrily. No one answered, but Harry knew the kid was there, probably in the kitchen with the BB gun. The kitchen door was closed. Harry slowly pushed it open. The wire connected to the blowtorch pulled tight. Whoosh! A blue and orange flame shot out, and Harry's hair burst into flames. A second later, a fireball shot through the living room and out of the front door. Hiss! Harry pressed his burning head onto the porch and melted some more ice. Kevin watched the whole thing from the top of the stairs. "See what happens to hotheads?" he yelled. Marv finished pulling the nails out of his foot. Just about the same time, Harry lifted his singed head from the icy porch. This was war, they both thought furiously. If 2 grown crooks couldn't take a 7-year-old kid, they didn't belong in the profession. Harry charged back through the front door just as Marv burst into the living room door. "Where are you, twerp?" Harry shouted. "I'm here, Harry," shouted Marv. "Not you, the kid!" yelled Harry. He looked around the dark foyer. "It's too late for you, kid. We're coming for you." "Great!" Kevin yelled back. "Come and get me!" Harry stormed into the kitchen and straight into a sheet of saran wrap covered with epoxy glue. As he pulled it off his face, he heard a whirling noise and turned around. A fan started to turn, blowing a pile of pillow feathers at him. "Oh no!" Harry cried, but it was too late. Marv heard Harry's cry and started toward the kitchen. In his path were a dozen little Christmas ornaments made of the thinnest glass imaginable, and Marv wasn't wearing shoes. "Yeah!" he screamed. At the top of the stairs, Kevin smiled and picked up his BB gun. Things were going well. A few moments later, Harry bumped into Marv in the living room. Harry was still pulling feathers out of his eyes. Marv was pulling glass from the bottoms of his feet. "Why'd you take your shoes off?" Harry asked. "Why'd you set your head on fire?" Marv replied. "You guys give up yet?" Kevin shouted. Harry and Marv stared at each other. "I can't believe this kid's taunting us," Harry said. "Where is he?" Marv asked. "I'm gonna murder that kid." "I'm at the top of the stairs," Kevin yelled. Both crooks dashed into the foyer, where Kevin had left his micro machines neatly lined up. Ah! Crash! Both crooks went flying. Kevin aimed the BB gun and started firing. "Hey, stay still," he yelled. "It's not easy hitting moving targets." "I'll kill him," Harry shrieked. The crooks jumped to their feet and headed for the stairs. They were so enraged they hardly felt the BBs Kevin was firing. But Kevin had something they would feel. Old paint cans, full of paint. Marv saw the first can coming and ducked. It hit Harry right in the face and knocked him back down the stairs. While Marv watched his buddy hit the floor, Kevin threw the second paint can. It hit Marv in the head. A moment later, both crooks lay still on the floor. Kevin sat at the top of the stairs. "This is the way Christmas Eve should be," he said. "Nice and quiet." December 24th, Oak Park, 10 p.m. Harry opened his eyes. He was lying at the bottom of the steps. Every part of his body throbbed with pain, and his mouth felt different. Next to him, Marv moved and groaned. "I don't get it. He's only a kid." "Shut up," Harry mumbled as he got on his hands and knees. "Hey, Harry," Marv said. "You're missing some teeth." "Well, you're missing some brains," Harry said. "Now let's get that kid. I'm going to grind him into hamburger." Upstairs, Kevin heard them, and his eyes went wide with fear. He'd hoped that the paint can bombing the crooks would give up. If they actually came up the stairs, he didn't have many booby traps left. Kevin had to make a quick decision. He knew the police wanted him for toothbrush theft, but wouldn't it be better to spend time in jail than be ground into hamburger? He ran to his mother's room and quickly dialed 911. Oak Park Police Department. Listen, Kevin whispered. My house is being robbed. I live on Rivard Street. The house number's 113. Before he could finish, he heard the steps creak. The crooks were coming up the stairs. You throw another can, kid, Harry shouted, and I'll boil you in oil before I grind you into hamburger. 113 what? The switchboard operator asked, but Kevin never heard her. He just had to get up to the attic. Just as Kevin crept out of his parents' bedroom, the crooks came down the hall. Harry lunged at him, but hit the wire Kevin had strung through the doorway. Marv fell on top of Harry. Kevin ran for the attic stairs, but a hand went around his left ankle. Help! Kevin screamed, kicking Marv in the head with his right foot. Help! Help! Marv held tight and tried to fend off Kevin's kicks. He wasn't about to let this kid go. Come on, Harry! He shouted. Get up! Grab him! But Harry didn't move. He was lying on the floor, pinned under Marv. His eyes were open wide with horror, because on the floor, about a foot away, racing toward him, was Axel the tarantula. Axel jumped on Harry's face. Wah! Harry jumped up, throwing Marv off him. Kevin broke free and ran for the attic stairs. Harry peeled the spider off his face and threw it, right into Marv's face. Marv pulled the spider off. Axel started to run across the floor. Harry grabbed the crowbar and swung at Axel. Instead, he hit Marv in the shin. Marv grabbed the crowbar and started to swing it at Harry. Wait! Harry shouted. What? Marv shouted back. Who are we fighting? Marv looked at Harry, then at the crowbar, then at Kevin, who was climbing the attic stairs. Get him! They ran up into the attic. 20 feet away, Kevin stood next to the open attic window, trying to catch his breath. The metal hook was lodged in the windowsill, and the escape rope already hung down off the roof. The crooks grinned at him. The one who'd gotten burned had no hair left on his head, and gaps in his mouth where his teeth used to be. The one who still had hair was limping on his shredded feet. Dead end, kid, Harry said with a nasty smile. Now where you gonna go? Yeah, said Marv. Before we were just gonna kidnap you. Now we're gonna kidnap you and feed you to the fishes. Fish don't like hamburger, Kevin said. And besides, you guys can go kiss a dog on the lips. The crooks looked at each other. Can I shoot him? Marv asked. Please? Sure, said Harry, right after I strangle him. Kevin dove out the window. Hey! Harry shouted. Kevin quickly climbed to the edge of the roof. He could see his breath. It was cold out. His treehouse was in the shadows 1 story down. Kevin grabbed the rope and started to lower himself toward the big oak branch the treehouse sat on. Harry stuck his head out of the window. All he could see was the rope disappearing off the edge of the roof. Where'd he go? Marv asked. I don't know. Maybe he committed suicide. I'm down here, you big jerk! Kevin yelled from his treehouse. Come and get me before I call the police! In the attic, Marv turned and limped back toward the stairs. Come on, he shouted at Harry. Wait, Harry yelled. Marv stopped. What? That's exactly what he wants us to do, Harry said. Go back down through his fun house and get tore up again. If we don't, he'll call the cops, Marv argued. Harry pulled a bandana out of his pocket and wrapped it around his scorched hand. You're not going out the window, Marv gasped. It's the last thing the kid expects, Harry said. Now come on. Kevin squatted in the treehouse and watched Harry crawl to the edge of the roof and started to lower himself down the rope. Marv followed behind him. Boy, these guys are dumb, Kevin whispered as he picked up his father's hedge trimmers. He waited until the 2 crooks had slid down the rope past the treehouse. Then he crawled out on the branch. Hey guys, Kevin said with a smile as he opened the hedge cutters. The 2 crooks looked up at him with horrified expressions on their faces. They were still 2 stories off the ground. Kevin started to close the hedge cutters on the rope. Kid, Harry said, let's make a deal. Suppose we just go down, Kevin said as he closed the hedge trimmers. Whomp, whomp. 2 crooks bounced against the side of the house and hit the ground. A second later, Kevin climbed out of the tree. Nearby, the crooks lay in a pile. That had to be the end of them, or for them. They'd been through more agony in one night than Kevin had been through in his whole life. And these guys didn't have 4 brothers and sisters dumping on them either. Then one of the crooks started to move. Kevin couldn't believe it. These guys took more abuse than Wile E. Coyote took from the Roadrunner. Kevin looked around. It was no use going back into his house. He'd used up all his booby traps. He had to find a phone and call the police. Where could he go? The only person home on the block was Old Man Marley. Kevin raced across the street. As he reached Old Man Marley's front lawn, he looked back and saw the 2 crooks hobbling after him. Kevin rounded the front corner of the house and headed for the backyard. In the dark, he saw the cellar steps. Real, dead bodies. Buzz's words rang in his ears. Kevin stopped. What if his brother was right? No, Kevin whispered. You can't believe that stuff anymore. From now on, you have to act like a grown-up. Or at least a teenager. He let himself into Old Man Marley's cellar and stopped to hear if there was anyone upstairs. But his heart was beating so hard, all he could hear was thump, thump, thump. It was dark and shadowy, but across the cellar, he saw steps leading up to the house. Kevin quickly ran up the steps and opened the door, and froze. The crooks were standing there. They were so banged up, they looked like escapees from a refugee camp, but they were grinning. You got in the front door? Kevin gasped. Harry nodded and grinned. With his missing teeth and swollen hairless head, he reminded Kevin of a jack-o'-lantern. Kevin trembled and took a step back, but he knew there was no escape. He'd never get out of the cellar alive. He was about to become Hamburger. Harry reached toward the kid. He was going to enjoy making him scream. And this empty house was the perfect place. No one would hear it. Then someone tapped him on the shoulder. Not now, Marv, Harry said. I want to savor this. What are you talking about? Marv asked. Harry stopped. Didn't you just tap me on the shoulder? No. Then who? Harry turned around. A wide metal snow shovel was swinging toward his head. Brang! It made contact with him, and Harry sprang to the floor. Marv spun around. The snow shovel was now headed for him. Brong! Marv hit the floor beside Harry. Kevin looked up astonished. Mr. Marley? Old Man Marley stepped out of the shadows. How's my aim? Good, Mr. Marley, Kevin grinned. Real good. A little while later, Kevin and Old Man Marley stood in the driveway and watched the cops put the crooks in the back of their patrol car. Those guys have been hanging around the neighborhood for a couple of days, Kevin told one of the policemen. You might want to check if any of the houses around here have been robbed. How'd they get so banged up? The cop asked. They must be real clumsy, Kevin said. The cop nodded and got into his patrol car. How about some hot chocolate? Old Man Marley asked. Thanks, said Kevin, but I have a lot of cleaning up to do. On Christmas Eve? Old Man Marley looked surprised. Yeah, said Kevin. Santa's bringing me a big surprise. Okay, guys, comment down below what your favorite booby trap was from the first movie. And please join me for the finale.